Hello and welcome to Middle East Matters. I'm Delano D'Souza. Coming up on the show this week, Turkey's president hopes to bolster economic ties with the United Arab Emirates during a two-day visit to the country. A high-profile case of sexual abuse pushes Israel's ultra-Orthodox Jewish community to open up. And calls to toughen laws protecting women in Iran grow after a 17-year-old girl was beheaded by her husband in the latest honor killing to shock the country. But first, Turkey's president visited the United Arab Emirates this week. Recep Tayyip Erdogan hoped to bring the two countries closer during his two-day visit. 13 cooperation agreements were signed in various sectors. This as the UAE and Turkey turned the page on their previously strained relationship to an economic partnership.
It's his first visit to the United Arab Emirates in nearly a decade. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan was greeted by Abu Dhabi's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed on Monday as the two countries rebuild ties in what is a highly symbolic meeting.
The dialogue and cooperation between Turkey and the United Arab Emirates is important for the peace and stability of the entire region. We do not see the security and stability of all brotherly countries in the Gulf region as separate from our own.
Relations between the two countries have been strained in recent years. Abu Dhabi accused Ankara of supporting political Islam in the Middle East, as well as both states backing opposing sides in regional conflicts, from boycotting Qatar to Libya's civil war. But in the midst of an economic collapse, Turkey is now seeking to improve local relations, and the UAE is taking a more conciliatory tone in its foreign policy. At the heart of this bilateral meeting is several strategic agreements between the two countries in a range of sectors, including defence, trade, technology and the economy. The UAE's de facto ruler, Prince Mohammed bin Zayed, made the journey to Ankara 3 months ago, where the Emiratis announced a €9 billion Turkish investment fund. After this trip, next on Erdogan's agenda is his upcoming trip to Saudi Arabia. His first visit to the kingdom since the assassination of dissident Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi in Istanbul.
Now, a series of revelations of sexual abuse have shaken Israel's ultra-Orthodox Jewish community. It doesn't usually discuss such matters, but the latest involved Chaim Valder, best-selling children's author. Now, an investigation revealed he was accused of sex crimes by more than 20 people, including women and children. Valder killed himself back in December, and the entire episode is seen as a starting point for change in the community. Gwendoline De Bono and Iris Makler report.
The insults don't bother Asher Yehiel Kessel. Here they've written he should be ashamed to leave his house. This rabbi helped publicise allegations of sexual abuse by Chaim Valder, a best-selling author and ultra-Orthodox leader. Valder then committed suicide.
A woman came to me in tears to tell me that she'd been abused by Chaim Valder. Then it was a young man raped by Chaim Valder, then a woman assaulted in her youth by Chaim Valder. So I heard so many stories in such a short time. I decided to go to talk to a journalist.
These experiences echo his own story.
I was very young. I was 10 or 11. I was what you would call a troubled kid. So a family friend offered to help my parents. He used this position and he sexually abused me many times. Every 2 weeks, sometimes every week, I couldn't come home from the yeshiva where I studied without him attacking me in my own house.
Several rabbis have praised Kessel for speaking out, something unimaginable just a few years ago. Shana Aronson and the NGO she leads work with victims in this community. She's surprised by the impact of the case.
We've definitely seen over the last month or so a big jump in people reaching out. Usually after a case is exposed in the media, we do get a lot more people reaching out, but usually it's more for people looking for therapy and for mental health resources. And this time, I think has been the first time where we saw such a big jump in people specifically wanting to report.
But victims still have to deal with the split between the secular and ultra-Orthodox worlds and the power wielded by ultra-Orthodox rabbis.
We'll have situations where a rabbi allegedly abused a constituent of his, and where the police see it as, a situation where there was consent. The rabbi told her to do certain things with him or whatever, and she agreed. But they don't understand the dynamic and the power imbalance between a rabbi and his constituent, where if he tells her to do something, she doesn't feel like she has the option of saying no.
Challenges remain, but Aronson believes the community's learning it can no longer treat sexual abuse as just a family secret.
Now, a 17-year-old girl in Iran was killed by her husband last week. A gruesome video showing the alleged killer holding a knife in one hand and his wife's head in the other went viral before being taken down. The victim was married when she was just 12 years old and had a son. Her name was Mona, and she had reportedly fled to Turkey for 4 months before being persuaded by her father to return. Police have arrested the alleged killer and his brother, who is suspected of helping him carry out the honor killing that's left Iran in shock. For more on this story, we can bring in Asieh Amini, an Iranian social analyst based in Norway. Thank you very much for joining us here on France 24. Are there any legal loopholes which exist that allow such so-called honor killings to take place in Iran?
First of all, thank you very much for paying attention to this issue. And the answer is yes. There are some laws that can prepare the situation for men to do this crime. For example, if a husband watches her wife in sex relation with somebody else, as the law, he can kill both of them. Another law, the father and grandfather own the blood of their children. It means that there is not a serious punishment if a father or grandfather kill their children.
The fact that this alleged killer was filmed smiling on video could mean he was proud of what he did. Won't it take more than just tougher laws to fundamentally change mindsets in the country?
The whole problem is about honor and being proud. It is not only him. We have a serious number of this kind of crime. Between 2010 and 2014, we have at least 8,000 women who were killed by their family relatives. It's shown that not only the law, but also the traditional and maybe we can tell that, for example, backward traditionals can support the situation to do this crime. And
I want to jump in there and ask you about this new law that's being proposed by Iran's Vice President for Women's Affairs, because this new draft law which she's proposing, unfortunately, doesn't criminalize the heart of the problem here, which is child marriage and marital rape, which is another problem in the country.
This is the main problem I believe in, because we don't see that the government can interfere into this kind of crime. They watch it as an internal problem and issue for some tribes, for example. But this is a general crime, and you can find it in anywhere in Iran. But if the government should do something serious to stop honor killing, they have to change the law, and they don't want to do it. If you or anybody else can hear that some women in the government or some reformists wanted to do something, but we have not watched so far a serious thing in these governments.
Asieh Amini, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us on the program today.
Thank you.
Now, this Monday was Valentine's Day, and hearts in Saudi Arabia seemed to be warming to the occasion. Teddy bears, flowers, and even red lingerie were on display in storefronts. However, one thing was missing: the words Valentine's Day itself. Peter O'Brien reports.
Not too long ago, selling something so sexy would get your shop shut down by the religious police. But this is the third year in Saudi Arabia that there have been no public injunctions against the sale of romantic gifts this time of year, and many shoppers have come to embrace the blossoming of red.
If my husband wanted to surprise me, if he wanted to buy me sleepwear or lingerie, he wouldn't have been allowed to enter a shop to buy me anything. That's not the case anymore, thankfully.
Others, meanwhile, avert their gaze.
I don't feel comfortable seeing it. I don't like it. But there are people who do. They have a different mentality. It's their choice. Personally, I don't support the idea or want to see it. I close my eyes and keep walking.
Valentine's Day dates back to Roman times, when several Christian martyrs were named Valentine. In 2008, the Saudi religious police issued a fatwa banning sales of anything to do with it. But things started to shift in 2018, when a senior Islamic cleric declared that the festival wasn't religious and therefore not against the Quran. For all their sickly sweet displays, however, many shops continue to avoid the V word.
Some shops don't allow for the promotion to mention Valentine's Day. We can have normal promotions without mentioning Valentine's Day.
Since Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman came to power in 2017, there have been small social changes in the conservative country, as it attempts to present a more appealing image and diversify its oil-dependent economy. Women are allowed to drive. Concerts and cinemas have flourished. Men and women can spend more time together in public, and the religious police is not as powerful as it once was. So you can drive to the cinema and give your sweetheart a rose in peace, but one thing you can't do is continue to fight for women's rights. Bin Salman has also overseen a crackdown on dissent, detaining hundreds of opponents and activists.
That's it for this edition of Middle East Matters. From all of us on the team, thank you very much for watching.